Barcelona lose against PSG. My life. I want to myself. I'm not only sick, but now I have to endure another painful defeat at the hands of the Oh my god. Luis Enrique. What's going on, guys? ¿Cómo están? BugaLuis here. Welcome back to another video here on the channel. And yes, indeed, Barcelona have, well, I was gonna say smacked, but really they weren't smacked. I think they were beat decently by PSG. We'll have to certainly break down this game. There were a lot of things that comes into it. This is not the video that I wanted to make. Of course, I wanted to make something more exciting, you know, guys, telling you that we have won. But I think that a lot of the decisions, or sort of how the game ended up being, we can kind of always explain it from the start, from the pregame, from the starting 11, and like, you know, I always like to do that first. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, even though it's a defeat, if you want to support and keep showing that we are the best club on YouTube, we are the best fan base on YouTube, I think there's no club ever better than us. Drop a like, subscribe, and all, and let's get into it. Let's get fucking right into it. So guys, this is how Barcelona lined up for this game. Of course, we didn't have Joan Garcia. We had Wojciech Szczesny. I think overall Szczesny had a good, decent performance. I don't think there was anything that makes me feel like he could do better or not. I think he was good in all the instances. I think overall for the last goal of Gonzalo Ramos, he was very much already sort of cometido. He was not really had any. He didn't had anything to do on that goal. That's basically all on our defense, all on just how it ended up being. No, I think that Eddie Garcia coming in for someone like Araujo, I think Eddie Garcia was really good. I think Eddie Garcia had particularly a very good spell later on in the second half, where he was literally our best player. I think he was the best performing player for Barcelona tonight, even more so than Lamine Yamal, and I'm gonna get into it later on. Cubarsí, Gerard Martin, Jules Koundé, all of them also decently played in the first half, but Gerard Martin mainly, our weakest link, was the guy who sort of remained the most I would say informed player we could have had, or he wasn't beaten as much throughout the entirety of the game. So kudos to Gerard Martin. I think he's locking down that place. He's looking decently for a squad player. Next up, Hansi Flick also played with Pedri, Frankie de Jong, Lamine Yamal, Dani Olmo, Marcus Rashford, and Ferran Torres. Dani Olmo is one that we're going to be talking about later on, but very, very disappointing by the Spaniard. Rashford getting the start, good enough from him, another assist. I was surprised not seeing Lewandowski from the get-go, and in the sense, I thought that our lineup was good enough, looking at what PSG were going to line up with. Luis Enrique went in with Lucas Chevalier and the goalkeeper, Hakimi, Savarni, William Pacho, and Nuno Mendes. A very good defensive line. A midfield of Warren Emery, because Joao Neves went out injured in the warm-up. Vitinha and Fabian Ruiz. And then up top, Mbaye, Mayulu, and Barcola. All players that are not starters. So I was very confident coming into it. But overall, I will always say this, that the system, that a team that clicks will play better most of the time than the individuals. So the individuals may differ, but if your team clicks and is good, that will always give you the benefit. So at the start of the game, we saw Lamine Yamal playing very good. Lamine Yamal, I think he did that incredible play with Vitinha and Nuno Mendes, basically, you know, destroy the Portuguese pair and just taking them out of the game. He was wow. He really embarrassed the so-called best midfielder and best left back in the world. So that's incredible. Like I was mentioning, the style, Barcelona's styles looked intact with Hansi Flick. No matter what the rival, the era, the form, the players, the injuries, they always looked very, very good. I mean, Barcelona always keep their style of play, and they always like to play with it. And I think that at the start of the game, Barcelona definitely looked the more dangerous team. There was particularly a individual play where Eddie Garcia was very, very good, that then ended up resulting in a counterattack by Lamine Yamal with an outside of the boot pass to Ferran Torres, which almost was a goal. Savarni, the Ukrainian center back, reacted very, very well. And there were plenty of instances like that where Lamine Yamal was on fire and he was really carrying this team in attack, and Barcelona did very, very well. But the player that I think we were lacking here was a Dani Olmo. I think Dani Olmo needed to accompany Lamine Yamal a little bit more, because he would end up losing the ball quite a lot. And you could see that Lamine Yamal was almost sort of like our only playmaker. And this could be down to the fact that he knew that he was going to be facing Nuno Mendes, the best left back, I'm not going to lie, the best left back in the world. And Lamine Yamal didn't have that much one-on-one dribbling versus Nuno Mendes. He didn't went head-to-head with the Portuguese. He was more of that wide playmaker role, like I mentioned, and most of the plays came from Lamine Yamal. So the ball was directed to the Spaniard, to Lamine Yamal, and then he would basically just pinpoint the attacks to wherever. He would basically either send it to Ferran Torres, send it to Rashford, send it to Dani Olmo, to Koundé overlapping, and he was acting like that main source for attack and chance creation. And that's where it's good to have Lamine Yamal be capable of doing that role, but you need another partner to do that. And I think that Dani Olmo, he just is not reaching up the level that we paid for, and it's not. This game would have been perfect for someone like Fermin Lopez to either be an extra runner for the passes of Lamine Yamal or be capable to just press on the defense and give more space for Lamine Yamal to choose and pick better passes. Dani Olmo really didn't do anything at all in this game, and it's very, very disappointing, and I think he was the worst player on the field by far. Really, really, he was really, really bad. Regardless, a goal came from Barcelona in the 90th minute. Ferran Torres scored with another Rashford assist. Rashford is looking to be taking his chances very well. Whenever the opportunity arises for Rashford, he seems to be taking it, and it's very good that he is. The Englishman is playing good under Hansi Flick, and he gets another assist here in the Champions League. So far, most influential player in the competition so far. And certainly Barcelona, I think, were merecían. They certainly deserved to be up on the scoreline by the 90th minute in the first half. We could say that. Gerard Martin was also very good, playing well out of pressure. Barcelona really looked good. When you have Gerard Martin playing the best football of his career, Barcelona is doing something good, really, really good. Even the 25th minute, 5 minutes after the goal, there was a moment where I literally stood up and I wrote here in my notes, pure football. Pedri, Lamine, Koundé combined. And you could see that the triangulations, basically all the circulation of the ball, was really good from all the different players. And I was just very, very surprised. I liked it very, very, very much. But we just couldn't maintain this fitness level throughout to the second half. And I think that's what cost us later on. And we're going to, develop that. But Barcelona just couldn't maintain the fitness. And that was a part where we really, really struggled. I mean, we sort of saw that at the end of the first half. I think that Barcelona, in reality, in this game, had probably around 30 good minutes. So out of 90 minutes in the game, Barcelona were leading 30 minutes, and then PSG led the other 60. There could have been another, potentially, you could say, 50 minutes in the second half, where Barcelona sort of connected back into the game with a shot from Dani Olmo, which he shot on the basically at the goalkeeper and then at the defenders. He had an open net, a moving penalty, and he shot it straight at the keeper. There was another opportunity for Lamine Yamal, and we're going to discuss that also. But you could already start see the troubles that Barcelona struggled. You could see the struggles of Barcelona not keeping up with the fitness by the end of the first half, because Frankie de Jong basically just had a run there. Mayulu had an incredible run. Not Mayulu, sorry, Nuno Mendes. And then de Jong knocked Nuno Mendes down. And despite that, even Nuno Mendes continued running with another opportunity very similar to the first one. And Mayulu scored the goal for PSG in the 38th minute. So we already saw gaps in that. If Nuno Mendes is able to penetrate your midfield like that, it's because not only your first arrowhead, which is Dani Olmo, is not pressuring good enough, and neither is Lamine Yamal, but also the fitness level of you closing those spaces down are not good enough. And Nuno Mendes had a field day, and then Nuno Mendes slowly transitioned into the best player in the field. And you could, by the end, Nuno Mendes and particularly Hakimi were destroying really Barcelona with wide open spaces. Garcia, I think, this is a hot take, but I kind of want to talk about. I think he hasn't started the season very, very good. I think he struggled. He got caught on on the play for the goal. He kind of committed himself very early. He gifted a dangerous pass inside the box only moments after. And I don't think Cubarsí is having the best of moments. I think he's struggling of being the main center back, not only being the main center back, but being constantly shifted of partners. You know, he's not a Virgil van Dijk where he just has this emitting this presence around him that no matter who's gonna come in, they know that he's gonna be the starter. Cubarsí will be that in his career, but so far, I mean, it's a little bit early. I think Cubarsí is much better suited being the sort of second next to a big man that Íñigo Martínez, for instance, was once he left. I always knew that Íñigo Martínez would have been such a big miss for Barcelona, and we're looking at the results now, right? In the second half, Barcelona once again looked sleepy, looked flat. Like I said, Eric Garcia looked the best player on the pitch. And Nuno Mendes, there's particularly one chance where I kind of want to see if on Twitter, you know, my favorite account that reviews the refereeing decisions talked about it, because there's a second yellow opportunity where, for me, Nuno Mendes should have received a second yellow. And I don't see it. There are some of them where, for instance, they comment on this opportunity. They don't comment on that opportunity of Nuno Mendes, but for me, it was a second yellow card, because particularly later on in the game, there was a foul of Marc Casado, and Casado basically gets a yellow card for nothing, and Nuno Mendes does not. And I think that it would have been a second yellow card for Nuno Mendes, and I think Barcelona should be playing the game with one man up. I really do think that. Then came the chance from Dani Olmo that was bad. Rashford, Gerard Martin, and Olmo were all substituted. I think Olmo should have been substituted at halftime, to be honest. But the problem is that we didn't have that many players on the bench. One thing that we do need to highlight is Marc Bernal coming in and returning. I think that was very, very good. And later on, we saw the goal from Hakimi. And that goal basically just killed the game. PSG killed the game later on. And the game honestly was heading in this direction because PSG were much more complete. And this account that you know that I like of Archio Bar basically is commenting that there's a very big mistake from the VAR choosing a frame to basically evaluate and confirm whether the offside was given or not, because they use a frame where the ball has already left Hakimi's foot. For instance, this first frame, you can see that Hakimi still has the ball. But then, doesn't has the ball. Whilst, in all honesty, they should have picked this one first, and you can see that clearly the player is offside. So, in all honesty, I mean, I don't understand. It's millimeters, but I guess, guys, you can go in the comment box down below and tell me if you really want to make a fuss about this and tell me if Barcelona were robbed or not. But I do think that if you look clearly at this second frame rather than the first, this is the first, this is the second, you can see that basically Gonzalo Ramos is offside in the second one, in my opinion. Overall, I think that Barcelona basically just looked fatigued by the end of the game, and that really cost them it, because look at how mismatched our defense line is. You know, you have Balde over here, you have Cubarsí, Christensen, and Koundé. They're all like in a zigzag pattern. They're not running together because they're all different rhythms. They're all different fatigue levels. And I think that Barcelona really do need a rest. They do need a rest. Sometime comes soon, because my goodness, our squad is looking thin, particularly with players underperforming like Dani Olmo. And PSG won this game because of it. They won this game because they maintained the level and intensity for much, much longer. You could clearly see that they were the team to beat here. Like, it really was difficult for Barcelona. There wasn't any misunderstanding. When you're tired, guys, you know, you don't play to your best. Like, the combinations, even in some instances in that second half between Casado, Marc Bernal, Frankie de Jong. What the hell was Marc Bernal doing at number 10? Also, I do not understand. Yeah, it wasn't looking good. I think that Flick knew it. You could see his face at the end of the game when PSG scored, and he looked super, super mad, because I don't know if it's fatigue. He has to assess that himself. Maybe it's just, mentality from the players. But for me, it's fatigue. The team looked very, very bad. If you have to take Pedri off, it's because he's knackered. And, this game, this schedule's being very, very fast, thick and thin. It's not helping whatsoever. In the good news is that Barcelona will next game have Olympiacos at home, which is a little bit more of a digestible enemy, you could say. And to be honest, I also do think that we had the hardest two games at the start of the fixture list. We still have Chelsea later on in the Champions League, but getting rid of Newcastle and PSG at the start, good enough, and I think that now we can focus and then we can really wrap up the points. We can make out that prediction that I said of around 19 points in this league phase. So guys, let's hope that we still can maintain our level. I do think we can do it, but Flick has to make some rotations, particularly to our key midfielders like Pedri. He looked really knackered, and without Pedri, dude, there's nothing in this team. And Lamine Yamal, play as a team player, dude. At the end, you needed to drop a little bit further back, grab the ball. I think Lamine looked a little bit isolated at times, but because of his own fault, not because of the team not helping. I think he needed to drop a little bit deeper. I think in some instances, even though he grabs the ball and does magic, which is incredible. If I could do that, I would never pass it to my teammates. But sometimes just passing it to the teammates is easier, and he gets the whole team clicking. And I think it's better to have 11 men clicking rather than only just one. So yeah, that's my review of this game, guys. Let me know what you thought about it, this defeat, in the comments down below. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Ciao, ciao.